So I bought this Roth and Allen patio furniture set. It's dated 2010 as the manufacture date, so I guess it's about 12 years old now, and it was time to replace the slings. So I've replaced the slings on 3 of the chairs, and I'm going to be replacing the sling on the 4th chair. I figure by now I know how to do it well enough to make a video and maybe help some of you who are struggling with the instructions that come with the slings. This is the chair that I'm going to be replacing the sling on. And if you notice, after 12 years, the fabric is worn a little bit thin. In fact, one of the chairs, the fabric ripped, and that's what prompted me to purchase the replacement slings, which I was fortunate enough to find on patiofurnituresupply.com. These are the instructions that came with the new slings, and if you notice, you have to go to a website, and when you do, this is what you get. And this is when I found out that you basically need this dual stretcher bar tool in order to install the slings. I tried just doing it without, and it's absolutely not possible. You must be able to stretch the bars on the chairs to be able to install the new slings. So just something to note. When you order your slings, be sure you plan on that as well. I thought the directions were a little bit difficult to follow, and I did a lot of trial and error to figure out how to get the slings on. So I'm just going to show you what I ended up doing, and hopefully that will help you with your installation. These are the tools that I ended up using. Pledge, Dawn, staple remover to help get the end caps off, scissors to cut the old sling off, pliers and a screwdriver to help get the old sling off, a Q-tip and toothbrush to clean out the rail on the chair, and then some various tools to unscrew the bolts on the sling. And I ended up using a C-clamp to help as a second pair of hands, and you can see the stretcher bar and a rag there at the top. So I've cut the sling in half, and then I'm going to be using this little ratchet tool to remove the bolts, the 2 bolts here, and then there's 2 underneath the seat to take the seat part off of the frame. Okay, so I've wet down the rails here, and then I've sprayed them on both sides with this Dawn Power Wash, which is pretty slippery, and I'm going to let it sit for a bit, and then I'm not going to lie, it takes about an hour to pull that fabric off of the rails. At least it does for me. It's in there pretty good with some dirt and so on. So I use pliers, I use a screwdriver, and I also trimmed down the fabric just a little bit. So I've got about 3 inches here to grab with the pliers and work that off of the rail. So that actually went a little faster than I expected. It only took about 10 minutes or so, 10, maybe 15, to get the fabric off of the rails. Then I washed the rails. I used the toothbrush and the Q-tip, and I sprayed them with Pledge, which helps make that little channel for the sling to go into a little bit slicker, and it also helps shine up the metal for my chair. Next, I'm going to go ahead and install the slings. I'm going to use the original plastic that came with my chairs. These strips seem to be a little bit higher quality than what came with the replacement slings, so I'm hoping they will last a little bit longer. It seems that these have a metal core and the others are just plastic. If you're wondering what I use the office clip for, I take that tubing and the fabric and I clamp them together so that as I'm feeding the sling through that channel, they stay together. Once the sling is threaded through, go ahead and attach the back screws. And I have them partially in, they're not in all the way. I'm going to go ahead and put in the bottom screws, and then I'll tighten everything up. Okay, this is probably a little hard to see what I've got going here, but these are the bottom screws I'm putting in on the 2 sides here. And I put in some fabric to protect the frame from being scratched by the stretcher bar. So this is where I have to put the last screw. And I put the screwdriver in to align the holes so that when I put that screw in, it hopefully will go in correctly. And if you were wondering, I propped everything up on a stool that I have that's just about the right height, and that helps the stretcher bar stay in place. It's fairly heavy, and it serves as a third hand for me. Okay, so now I've got those 4 screws in place holding the seat to the frame, and I've tightened them all down. And now I wanted to put in this stabilizing bar under the seat, so I repositioned the stretcher bar and stretched out and went ahead and snapped that in. Mine curves, so it flexes just a little bit, making it a little bit easier to get that in once you've got the bar or the frame stretched out. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I don't know if you can see back over here. There's one more stabilizing bar that goes across the back there near the top. And I'm going to do the same thing and put that in. So there we have it. All 4 slings replaced and my patio set looks new again. I hope this video helped if you're trying to do this on your own. And if so, I hope you give me a thumbs up. Thank you.